Most people believe they see clearly when emotions are strongest, but usually, that is when they see the least. The moment something triggers you, your attention begins to narrow. You stop observing and start defending. You start assuming, explaining, proving, reacting. And in that state, you often miss what the situation was actually trying to show you. But when you react less, something changes. You begin to notice things that emotional people rarely see. You notice patterns in behavior. You notice hidden emotions behind words. You notice insecurity, manipulation, tension, and intention. You even begin to notice your own habits more clearly. This is not about becoming emotionless. It is about creating enough space between emotion and response to actually understand what is happening before you act on it. Emotional reactions consume attention. The moment you feel attacked, embarrassed, anxious, or angry, your mind shifts into protection mode. Instead of observing reality clearly, you begin reacting to your interpretation of reality. That is why many misunderstandings happen during emotional moments. When emotion becomes strong, assumptions become stronger too. Listening becomes weaker. People stop paying attention to what is actually being said and start responding to the story forming inside their own mind. You can see this in simple situations. Someone sends a short message. Immediately, the mind creates meaning. Maybe they are upset. Maybe they are disrespectful. Maybe something is wrong. But later, you realize they were simply busy, tired, distracted, or emotionally drained. The reaction created a story before the facts even existed. This is why reacting less matters. Understanding usually takes more time than emotion does. Emotion is immediate. Clarity is slower. And if you give yourself even a small pause before reacting, you often see the situation very differently. Silence also reveals more than most people realize. When people react instantly, conversations quickly become emotional battles. Everyone starts defending themselves. Everyone wants to win. But when you stay calm, people often continue revealing themselves without realizing it. A calm person notices what emotional people miss. You begin hearing the tone behind the words. You notice contradictions. You notice emotional patterns. You notice when someone is trying to provoke you because they need a reaction to feel in control. And interestingly, when you do not react emotionally, people often expose more of themselves. Someone may try to insult you or provoke you. If you react immediately, the attention shifts to your reaction. The original behavior becomes less visible. But if you remain calm, their behavior becomes clearer to everyone, including you. The calmer you are, the more information you collect. Reactive people usually give information away. Calm people usually gather it. Another important thing to understand is that emotions often distort reality. Most people do not experience situations objectively. They experience situations through fear, pride, insecurity, memory, and expectation. Strong emotion acts like a filter. A disagreement can feel like rejection. A delayed response can feel personal. A small criticism can feel like humiliation. In emotional moments, the mind fills empty spaces with assumptions. That is why two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away with completely different interpretations. An observant person understands this. They understand that the first emotional interpretation is not always the truth. Sometimes clarity only appears after emotion settles down. And this changes the way you see people too. When you stop reacting impulsively, your attention expands. You start noticing emotional patterns in others. You notice that anger often hides insecurity. Arrogance often hides fear. Defensiveness often hides discomfort. The loudest emotion in a room is often hiding the most information. This is where emotional control becomes powerful, not because it makes you superior, but because it allows you to understand situations more accurately. In arguments, emotional people focus on winning. Observant people focus on understanding. They notice what triggered the reaction. They notice what subject created tension. They notice what emotion is sitting underneath the words. Over time, this creates a different kind of confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence. You stop feeling the need to react to everything. You stop needing immediate control over every situation. You become more comfortable observing before deciding. This also changes the way people treat you. Every emotional reaction teaches people something. It shows them what affects you, what controls you, and how easily you can be pulled into emotion. People naturally study reactions, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously. If someone knows they can easily provoke you, they may continue doing it. Not always out of cruelty, but because emotional reactions create predictable patterns. But when composure appears, the dynamic changes. This does not mean becoming silent out of fear. It does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending not to care. It simply means you are no longer surrendering control of yourself to every emotional moment. You choose your response instead of giving it away automatically. Eventually, this becomes something deeper than social awareness. It becomes inner freedom. The real shift happens when you learn to observe your own emotions instead of immediately becoming them. You still feel anger. You still feel disappointment, frustration, hurt, and stress. But now there is space between the feeling and the reaction. And inside that space, clarity begins to grow. You start asking better questions. Why did this affect me so strongly? Is my interpretation fully accurate? Am I reacting to the present moment or to something older inside me? That pause changes everything. Without awareness, emotions control behavior automatically. With awareness, reactions become intentional. And that is the deeper lesson in all of this. The less you react, the more you begin to see. You see people more clearly. You see situations more clearly. And most importantly, you begin to see yourself more clearly too. Many situations become easier to understand when you stop trying to control them emotionally in the moment. Reacting less is not weakness. It is awareness. It is emotional control. It is giving yourself enough space to see reality before emotion reshapes it. And often, the calmest person in the room is not disconnected from emotion. They simply understand that clarity matters more than immediate reaction.